Hey everybody. First want to apologize and say I'm sorry I'm a day late with this one. It was just a busy week, but I'm getting to it now. And let's talk about chapter 3 of The Great Gatsby. This can help you with your homework if you do it Sunday or Monday, or even get it in Tuesday. So, chapter 3 begins with this amazing imagery and description of Gatsby's party. And what I noted over and over again is the idea of excess. It's just everything's above and beyond, and the food, the drinks, the dancing, the people that come. And one of the things Nick notices at the end, and I believe one of the questions I had, he says, I believe that on the first night I went to Gatsby's house, I was one of the few guests who had actually been invited. People were not invited, they went there. So it's just kind of known that this mysterious guy Gatsby just opens his house to people, and he goes on to say they conducted themselves according to the rules of behavior associated with amusement parks. And as the chapter unfolds, we see it just get more and more debaucherous and people acting more and more crazy, like the rules don't apply to them. So much so, there's a car accident towards the end, which we'll get into. And once again, we see Nick gets drunk because he's almost embarrassed by the scene. So he really starts to sink in to the whole party scene. And then we learn some more about Gatsby, that he once maybe killed a man. Again, that he grew up in Germany. But then someone else says, no, he was in the American army during the war, so he couldn't have grown up in Germany. And just more ideas. Oh, and then also that he could have been then a German spy. So it's really going back and forth on like, who is this guy? Which side was he on? And you see that like, which side is he on? Did people like him or not like him? Is going to be a reflection of you, whether how you feel about Gatsby by the end. Let's see here. Nick, it comes straight out that says the alcohol sort of makes him sort of accept all the excess. So he's still with Jordan Baker, who we don't like very much, but Nick is with her because he thinks she's attractive. We're sitting at a table with a man of about my age and a rowdy little girl who gave way upon the slightest provocation to uncontrollable laughter. I was enjoying myself now. So he starts off the chapter being like, this is just too much. How can people act like this? But after a few drinks and into the night, he says, oh, okay, I like this. I had taken two finger bowls of champagne, and the scene had changed before my eyes into something significant, elemental, and profound. Okay. So now he really likes it. And then we have this very important part when we actually meet Gatsby. And I asked you a question about this. I said, this week don't bother finding a quote. I'm going to point one out. And this is what his smile is. And remember that Gatsby is a symbol for the American dream. And this is what he says. So think of it's almost like America smiling at you. He smiled understandingly, much more than understandingly. It was one of those rare smiles with the quality of eternal reassurance in it that you may come across 4 or 5 times in a life. So it's rare. He also has eternal reassurance, like there's something we've talked about that's grand about America. It understands you. It gets you. It faced or seemed to face the whole external world for an instant and then concentrated on you. We've talked so much about individualism in this class. With an irresistible prejudice in your favor. With all the hope and optimism. It understood you just so far as you wanted to be understood, believed in you as you would like to believe in yourself, and assured you that had precisely the impression of you that at your best you hope to convey. So it's really like Gatsby's smile is like the magic of America, of you can be anything you want. The streets are paved with gold. Come one, come all, and all your dreams will come true, right? Isn't that often the image we like to portray? You're going to see, though, he's just meeting Gatsby. This is just his smile. Let's see if that can hold up. Hint, it's not going to hold up so much. But he's going to go back and forth on it. There's more Gatsby mystery to come out when Jordan's talking about it. Let's see what he says this time. He went to Oxford, which is a prestigious college in England. And then people argue about that. So again, nobody knows this guy. They all go to his parties, and it's just crazy. And they say, he had to come from somewhere. And then we're left at that. So we still don't know. and there's a lot more of what he could be. Um, so then we go on, and the night really de-evolves, meaning like it gets worse and worse and worse. People get drunker and drunker and acting rowdier and rowdier. For some time, confused and intriguing sounds had issued from the long, many windowed rooms which overhung the terrace. So people were splitting off, and a bit later it says wives were trying to chase down their husbands, were chasing other women. Um, and then it has this woman singing, and as everyone's sort of like drunk and the party's sort of winding down, there's this woman singing this terrible song of sort of like, we couldn't keep this up forever. Um, and then it goes in, and the party really stops to end. And then this Owl Eyes guy crashes his car outside into a ditch, and people come around to see, and he says, I knew nothing about mechanics. Like, he doesn't want to blame himself that he just did this. How did it happen? How did you run into that wall? Sorry, I ran into a wall, not a ditch. Don't ask me, said Owl Eyes, washing his hands of the whole matter. I know very little about driving, next to nothing. It's happened, and that's all I know. So it's like the rich in this, they're like so protected by this bubble of like, oh, you can't even get to me. I don't care. I just did this in front of everyone, and I'm obviously guilty of it. Oh, it's not my fault. I don't know much about driving, and whatever, bye. And he just sort of leaves. So it's like all these problems that these people are creating, it's not theirs to solve or even worry about. How messed up is that? And then we end with everyone's finally leaving, and there's this amazing image of Gatsby, who you notice has always been sort of off to the side. Nick met him, some people met him, but he never engaged that much. And this is how it ends with how Gatsby is looking. The caterwauling horns had reached crescendo and was beeping at each other to leave, and I turned away and cut across the lawn towards home. Remember, Nick lives right next door. I glanced back once. A wafer of a moon was shining over Gatsby's house, making the night fine as before, and surviving the laughter and the sound of his still glowing garden. A sudden emptiness seemed to flow now from the windows and the great doors, endowing with complete isolation the figure of the host, who stood on the porch, his hand up in a formal gesture of farewell. So it ends with Gatsby just sort of standing there, like, please, like, thanks for coming using my house. Bye, everybody. Hope you had a good time. Why is he doing this? Why is Gatsby, what is he getting out of it? Those questions will be answered. But again, this is such mystery. And then Nick goes into saying, like, just so you know, I didn't only do terrible stuff. And he talks about his job in the city. He says these were mainly casual events, and I was mainly there to work, right? So he sort of tries to defend himself. Like, I know I'm in the middle of this world, but I'm not like these people. Trust me. He brings up some stuff about Jordan, and he mentions that she cheated at golf, that in this big tournament, she cheated. So So Jordan, we learn where all her negativity and apathy and everything that comes from. That's the type of person she is. She's a liar and a cheater. And then at the very end here, so Nick goes on, but he still says, even for a moment, I thought I loved her. He was casually sorry for her, and then he forgot. We see some apathy from Nick. So it's like he kind of knows she's bad, but he's been sucked in now, and he's staying with her. And then he ends the chapter, though, even because we're kind of like, Nick, are you going to be okay? He ends it with, everyone suspects himself of at least one of the cardinal virtues, and this is mine. I am one of the few honest people that I have ever known. And I wrote here that Nick won't be broken. He's sort of like acknowledging the fact that he's being sucked into this world, and these are who his peers are. But he's saying, I won't become one of these terrible, rich, elite, empty people he's surrounded by. He knows he's being tested for his soul. Because remember, he's writing this after. So he's sort of like, stay with me. I know things don't look good now, but trust me, I'm honest. I'm going to tell you how it is. And that's how it ends. And in the next chapter, we're going to get more on Gatsby. And I believe him and Nick, he actually goes and he's like, Nick, I need you for something. And they go and hang out. And I think we're going to do the next 2 chapters together. I'll make you do one worksheet for it. But we're going to try to read a bunch more. And it's going to sort of come into play, all these pieces. We got Daisy and Tom and Jordan and Nick and Gatsby and him throwing these crazy parties. And it's like, what's the point of this? And you're going to see that there's a very specific point, and this story might not be what you think it is. Okay, so that's all for Chapter 3 review. Hope you guys are staying healthy and safe as always. And that's all. Have a good rest of your weekend.